Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Mic and music check, please. Awesome. Thank you, Atlan. Just pulling up all the various stream feeds, chats, and the like. Okay, I've got TikTok and Twitch up. Not getting a stream feed yet on Steam. Will you let me know when it goes live? Got all the other chats though. I'm gonna refresh it one more. Alrighty, perfect. Now that we know everything is working, except for camera, which I accidentally left the lens cap on, so you know, that's my bad. But that that also appears to be working. We have got video and audio on all major platforms except for Steam at the moment. Well, while we're waiting for that to load, oh, Steam just popped up for me. There we go. Finally. Yep, just barely popped up. I've been refreshing it like every 10 seconds, so finally, eh? Welcome, Steam, to the conversation. Welcome, one and all, in fact. We are multi-streaming on many different platforms right now. Let's name them all off to make sure I'm not slowly losing my mind. Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, and Steam is where all the platforms we are live at the moment. Today is Mapmaker Monday. Mapmaker Monday is a stream we host on our various stream platforms every Monday where I build a map live for our community to watch and follow along and learn, also to share ideas for the build. Additionally, during this stream, I host it in an AMA format, which means if you have any questions related to Dungeon Alchemist, or what you're seeing in the map maker right now, or maybe you're working on a map of your own and you have questions on how to build something in it or how to export it properly, or maybe you saw a map on the workshop and you're wondering how they did that, reach out to me, let me know, and we can do our best to address it here during the stream at any time. So welcome back, one and all. I made a mistake the other day. I guess I didn't save, but this is starting to worry me because I definitely did some work yesterday to kind of get it back to it, and now it's not there. And it's probably too late. Yep, too late. I already overwrote it. No! Okay, well, I guess we're starting from scratch. So basically, I need to do something really quick that has kind of messed me up a few times. So my autosave interval is set to 1 minute, which is kind of a risky interval. The reason that is if it autosaves every 1 minute, it's possible it'll overwrite things that you don't want it to. So it's possible had I loaded into the autosave first, we'd probably be fine, but it's okay. I'm a little concerned, though, as to why my saves aren't saving. So what we're going to do is make a test really quick. What I had done was I didn't like this gate transition here where it goes from like small to wide. So I disabled collision so I could merge these gates together to a degree. It's a little scuffed looking right there, right? But it's better. Kind of just overlap those arches. Kind of looks decorative. Now, I'm going to scale this up. Be a little bit larger. Get in that top down so we can kind of see where it is to center it better. Then what I was going to do is taper the paver out like this. And it's already merged in with this other one because I didn't have enough room for it. But now, do something like that and it looks a lot cleaner as it transitions outward. This is a silly detail that most of you probably don't need to focus on. To be honest, this is more of a personal choice than anything. To waste my own time and make sure everything looks perfect, definitely a personal choice. I'm also noticing there's kind of a subtle position in the rocks here. You know what? That's all one piece of paver, so I'm just going to leave it. Anyway, now it transitions a little bit more smoothly into that wide piece there. Okay, now we're going to do a save, right? I'm going to save a couple of times. Now I'm going to just open the map. Hopefully it has that change, because the last couple times I've saved this map, it hasn't made any save changes, because I know I saved this. Like, last night I did a little bit of work on it. To try and catch it up to where I was last week. And then... Anyway. Well, it saved it. So at least we're in a good position here. So I just got to make sure that I'm constantly saving and, you know, make a good habit of it. I don't know why I've had such a bad habit lately. Hey, Michelle. That goes for everyone, by the way. Save often, save frequently, because you don't want to lose your work. Make sure you set the autosave, but also make sure it's set to kind of match your workflow. Autosave also only works if you have created your first save. So if you've named and saved the map, then it will start autosaving at the interval. Otherwise, it will not, because it would be an unnamed map. It won't have a file for it. Like a file, you know, precursor for it. How you doing today, Michelle? What you up to? Okay, let's get back into this. There's the graveyard stuff. I am so confused as to where this is listed. Okay, is it in here somewhere, or am I just blind? Is that it? Oh, that's not it. It's a different one. It's flat here, whereas there it's like all decorative. Cross. Let's try that. Okay, I guess it comes up in that one. Just a little bit different is all. So it's not under gravestones. Good to know. Oh man, that sounds interesting. I would love to see like some the map when it's done, or a screenshot or something when you're ready to share. Man, I can't wait for the object brush update, because like you could take this, right? And then just paint it along here and it'll just like especially if it's like a snapping point for an object that snaps, you can just paint out a whole line of them in like a second. Like a really nice straight line of them. Hey, Raven. Yeah, it's good to know, isn't it? Very good to know. The autosave function basically doesn't activate until you have created your first save. That's a map fact for you. So throughout the stream today, I'm going to be continuing work on this map. I'm going to try and catch up to where I was. So I'm going to do like a quick speed run to get there and maybe a little bit further. But if any of you have questions, concerns, feedback, suggestions for either Dungeon Alchemist or the build, please let me know and I'd love to hear it. Troutfoot, that is a good question. So while I answer that, I'll load up a clip that you can kind of take a look at how it kind of works. Keep in mind this is early footage of the kind of work in progress of it. From my understanding, though, yes, it will, in fact, do that. So Troutfoot asks, how customizable will the asset brush be? Will we be able to load it with objects from the workshop? So essentially, yes, you'll be able to select any object, whether it's an object from the workshop or a stock DA object, and then you essentially, like this clip shows here in the last 5 seconds or so, they select the object they want to use as a brush. Now it's selected. Then they click Create Brush from Selected Object. And then you select any of the brush properties and adjustments, and it'll work with that. Hey, PSU Cosmic, how you doing, my friend? So, yeah, basically you'll be able to make brushes, or at least a brush of a single object really quickly. I'm hoping this will expand to brushes of multiple objects, like a palette. Or maybe you can save the brush later, like a favorite or something. Anyway. It is sick. I'm very excited for this particular feature improvement. It's a big update. Oh, yeah. I mean, you can add rubble from the various detritus in the brush, but it doesn't have every object in there that it can be. So essentially the object brush is limited because it's only got the objects in it that we put in it. Now you can make whatever. It's going to be really cool. Alrighty. So now that everyone's kind of seen that clip, let's get back into this. So last week I was working on this and I could have sworn I hit save, both by using a hotkey and clicking it in menu at different points, and it didn't save my work. That being said, I didn't get a whole lot of work done because I was not necessarily distracted, but more devoted to answering community support inquiries and questions. So I ended up not doing a whole lot of building last stream. I'm hoping to make up for that with some genuinely quick speed building, and thanks to some valiant efforts thanks to a suggestion by Mondu and the valiant efforts of Atlam, we now have pretty much the entire layout of what I did work-wise last week, and can essentially fix it all in short order. Atlam went above and beyond and found every grave and like every angle of everything in the stream and made sure I had it all. So thank you, Atlam, for that. I appreciate it. You went way above and beyond there, my friend. Let's see here. So we have, I believe it's more like a grave. So let's find that one. Let's start with the first one. I'm looking at it on a side page, so I apologize if you're not seeing this and you're like, what is Mac looking at? So it's one of these tombstones, like this. I'll go through and align everything in a bit. We're just going to quickly add everything. And then it was more like a dirt grave, like this. Next, we had a stone kind of kingly grave. I've been seeing some new shots from the development side of DA lately regarding these graves. You know how they're kind of like at a slanted open state? You'll be able to adjust their state between 3 different states: closed, slightly open, and fully open. I think one is like a broken open, I believe. So they'll have a lot more versatility in the next update, which is going to be very cool. Hey, Ryan Egerton, I really appreciate the kind words. Yeah, I'm really excited for the next update and all the new stuff in it. It's going to be interesting, to say the least. Okay, so next. One of these bad boys. Then something like this. Cenotaph. That gets us to the corner here. Point, there's a tree, which I believe I shrunk it down. So, yeah, I gave credit to Mandu for, you know, spitting out the idea initially, and definitely mad props to yourself for taking the time to do this. You definitely don't have to do that in the future, my friend. If I make a mistake like this, let me own up to it and, you know, learn from it. I unfortunately just totally boofed the save, and I feel so bad that you put, you know, all that extra time into it, but I'm so appreciative of it. So don't feel like it's underappreciated or not welcome at all. It's definitely welcome. So look at you on Facebook. Looks like you got it all figured out. Okay. So you took my advice and were able to figure out a page, it looks like, huh? Honestly, I'm glad it worked. It's a great way to kind of have a bit of privacy on Facebook. Like, I think the key, though, is making sure your main account is, like, heckin' locked down and private, you know, so no one really can access it unless you friend them or allow them. But, like, for a while, so, story time, stream story time, if anyone's interested. Years ago, so, for a long time, I've been streaming, and I kind of talk about this sometimes. Hey, Ericao. Welcome back. How you doing? But I started streaming years ago when Twitch was called Justin TV. And, you know, I had a run of it then, and then it converted to Twitch, and I did that for a while. Kind of got a little burnout on it, took a break. And then a while later, a friend of mine who really enjoyed my streams, they're like, hey, Mac, you got to check out this platform called Beam. Beam was kind of small at the time, and it had this, like, really kind of sense of community and like involvement, and everybody helped each other, uplifted each other, raided each other to make sure everyone's channels grew and supported each other offline. It became this really wholesome, helpful community that grew rapidly, so rapidly that they ended up getting bought by Microsoft, and it was turned into what's called Mixer.com. And I was a partner on Mixer, and I did really well on Beam and Mixer as a streamer. Like, I feel very proud of what I accomplished there. And I was growing really rapidly as a Sea of Thieves streamer. And I ended up, at one point, I had like 15-ish thousand followers on my own personal channel. And I was averaging like 150 viewer concurrent during a stream. Like 150 people watching me play Sea of Thieves. It was insane. And I'm not trying to brag or anything, but this is just kind of my experience in streaming. Microsoft decided one day, they're just like, you know what, we don't want this site anymore, and they pulled the plug. There was a little bit of controversy around one of their executives running Mixer. There was like a video that was leaked, and I think they just decided to pull the plug rather than, you know, try to work out fixing it. Long story short, they just randomly decided, hey, the site isn't worth it. It was gone one day. One day it was there, the next day it wasn't. So a lot of people like myself who were working really hard there, building up communities, thriving, you know, doing rather well and turning our hobby into like some kind of like income to a degree, were just kind of all thrust out, right? And I don't say this for sympathy. I say this to content creators out there now. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. This goes for anyone. Whether it's your backups, you know, don't just have one hard drive, have two and a cloud. You know, have a flash drive and a fire safe and all, you know, all these other things. Have backups, okay, of your work so you don't lose it. Next, if you're a content creator online, make sure you're submitting your content to several places. You know how we're streaming on multiple sites right now? For a reason. So we have a lot of spread, you know, and none of our eggs are just in one basket that could disappear. Now, when this happened, when Mixer's plug got pulled, Facebook was starting out their new streaming service called Facebook Gaming, and it was kind of in its infancy, and Facebook capitalized on this, and they were like, wow, there's a whole lot of streamers kind of just losing their home, and they actually reached out to me, and they offered me a contracted partnership where, like, I was, you know, like essentially given a monthly income, which was really nice after streaming and not having guaranteed income. It was like sub and donation income for a long time. And so I streamed with them for about 3 years. And I was a partner there during that time too. And I am, you know, like I still have my account there. And the thing is when I was setting up an account to be a partner, I didn't even have a personal account there. And I was really sketched out about it. So I ended up having to like create a personal account, which I then locked down and made all private. And then I attached a page to it for my streaming. It was like this whole to-do thing. But anyway, I have streamed in a lot of places. I've been everywhere, man. And honestly, as a content creator, there is like so many things you need to consider nowadays to, you know, not only keep yourself you know, active and rejuvenated and willing to keep going, but also to make sure that your content thrives and survives past the end of a week sometimes. Yeah, it would have been. Basically, though, Microsoft wanted the technology involved with the streaming platform, which was called FTL. So Beam developed essentially the first low latency streaming service that actually worked in high def, meaning sub-second delays. And Microsoft bought them for that technology, which they then incorporated into a lot of different things. And later they even made a streaming platform on MSNBC after the fact, which actually, or like on their like MSNBC platform. So they have a streaming site there, but it really doesn't do that great. And it was just funny how well Mixer was doing in the long run, but they just decided it wasn't worth it. I think if they'd given it a few years, it definitely would have surpassed Twitch. Hello, Mac. Quick question. So this is from Psycho Machine on Twitch. Can you multi-random placement on an item like a downloadable or any specific non-listed items from the multi-placement list? So you currently cannot the only way to like rapidly place an item that you downloaded from the workshop would be to hold shift while you place it, and then it immediately duplicates it. That is the only way to do it right now. The problem is, you know, you got to be really precise in your placements, and it will only randomize where it's placed if it was configured to do so when it was uploaded to the workshop. So in the asset importer, there's a configuration for random rotation and random sizing, but unless the creator configured it to do so, it won't do that. But our next update will allow you to create a brush of any object. That update should launch Q1 2025, and it'll essentially allow you to say select this object, and then there'll be a button below here that'll say create custom brush, and then you can paint hundreds of that item in any of these arrangements, sizes, densities, or these advanced options. So essentially very soon there'll be a more advanced and streamlined workflow for objects in the object painter. Gem Knight, this map is 82 by 82. Hey, Afogre, I appreciate you being here, okay? Thank you, thank you. It is coming along, though. There's a lot to it. It is growing and growing, like, both in, like, depth, and it might even expand a little bit in size when all's said and done. We'll see. Okay, so I think we got the gist of the layout of the graves. Now we can go through. Here, let me show you a clip of it really quick, because we were actually previewing it earlier for others and you missed it. We talked about this maybe 15 minutes ago. You know, I think technically Napster's still around, but it's like a pay for music site. I think Best Buy owns it, last I checked. So if you watch here in the clip, they select the stump and then they create a brush from the selected object. This actually is how a lot of little kind of cool tools in DA work. There's another tool that kind of uses this similar principle. You have to select the object first, but it's the Copy Object Properties tool. I'm not sure if many of you are familiar with it. It's kind of like a little hidden gem. And instead of copy and paste the object, it copies and pastes the properties of it. So let's say you have a door that is open and you want every door in the building to be open, but you don't want to go through and open them one at a time. You can select one door, open it, and then you can Control or Command C, and then Control or Command V, and then a little box appears. You can drag it across the whole area where all the doors are, and then it'll open all of them or close all of them. You can do this with lights, you know, change all the light colors, turn them all on and off, enable or disable all animations on an object, etc. Honestly, oh man, you know, MP3 CDs are still like a kind of an interesting format. So I've heard that CDs, they're starting to make more dense versions of them that are like way intense. But so for those that aren't aware, like an MP3 obviously is a digital music format, right? So you could have like a song in an MP3. Now, when I was a kid, you know, there wasn't really MP3 players. There was Walkmans, and then there was CD players. And CD players were great, but yeah, they skipped. When you're walking around with them, they started making anti-skip protection. That was great. But as this stuff started developing, they started making MP3 compatible CD players, which meant you could, on your computer, put a bunch of MP3s to a disc, which normally on a CD, they're like WAV, and they only had like 10, 20 songs. With MP3, you could fit like hundreds of songs on a disc. And this was great. So it was like you'd have, you know, 5 discs, and it could be like half your music library. It was really fun. Oh my gosh, I miss my Zune. I regret trading it in. So I had a replacement plan on it and at Best Buy, and that was kind of like no questions asked kind of plan. So you could just get store credit and get something else. And as I realized Microsoft was going to stop supporting the Zune, I decided to trade it in, but I could have held on to it for years. Would have been cool. Okay, let's start replacing some of this stuff. I got to figure out what plants go on these. By the way, if y'all have any questions for your builds and need assistance, let me know and I will do my best to do my duty to help you out. Make sure you understand how to do that on your maps. Okay, so I believe we are going to need this. And there's some like Oh, yeah. I mean, I sold both Zunes and iPods at Best Buy at the time when I worked there, and I agree. I think that the Zune was a much better product, but unfortunately, the marketing for Apple was definitely a lot better. And they did have a little bit of a head start too. So it was really hard for, Microsoft to really gain enough market share to make it worth their while. David, how you doing? Welcome back. You got rid of your mini disc player? Dang, that thing's like a treasure, dude. That's really cool though that you still had one up until recently. How you doing, Rev? Other than I have to rebuild all this because I'm a big doofus, I'm great. So learn from my mistakes, people. Make sure you save often. Make sure your autosave interval is matching your workflow. So, David, unfortunately, the largest round room you can make at the moment is, I believe, 30 by 30. Beyond that, it becomes a squircle. I'm not sure why that is. There is, just kind of a limitation in the current sizing of the rooms. I think the developers didn't think people would want rooms beyond that size. So essentially, once you start making, so what they're asking about here, if anyone's curious, in Dungeon Alchemist, you can now make round and diagonal rooms, and as you start making a room of that, that is round or diagonal. Is it 20 by 20 is the largest or 30 by 30? Anyway, when you're making round and diagonal rooms, they need to be perfectly divisible, equally divisible. And what that means is both sides need to be the exact same, and they need to be an even number. So it needs to be, say, 24 by 24, 30 by 30. In this case, we'll just... Oh, man. It's too big. I'm going to drag that in a little bit. See, it actually, yeah, 30 by 30 won't even work. So 20 by 20 is the largest you can make. Sorry, I got it mixed up. Starts making a squircle, is what we call it internally. But yeah, you could definitely get like a Colosseum kind of instead of like a perfect round. But the largest circle you can build at the moment is 20 by 20, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, there it is. So you grab these little circles on the side and drag them in, then you can generate a round room. But Rev, I'm really good. Thank you for asking. Yeah, technically, if you use like the walls here, the structural round walls, and like scaled them up far beyond their limits and then sank them into the ground or something so they're not like 50 feet tall. Something like this could potentially work if you got it just right, but you'd have to play with it until you do. And then you'd need 4 of them all linking up, So you'd probably want to start one on a snap point, so the rest all kind of fall into place. Unfortunately, that would be the only way, David. I'm sorry. At least for now. That, or yeah, you could import like a custom round, just single object that is that large, or just find something that is roughly that shape and size. Because an object can be scaled. I think it's 20 by 20, Michelle. We just figured it out. How are you doing, Rev? What you been up to? So I had like a bracelet on this bad boy. Good enough. Scarab there. And then add a pot here with a plant in it. Sorry, I'm just looking at an image on the side and I'm replacing it really quickly. Eggplant. I think it was... kind of looked like this bird of paradise just shrunken down. Good. I saw that. I'm going to throw those in other places too. I'm just going to try and fix my work because I messed it up and I got to own up to it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'll take a look at those in a moment. Okay. Throw these flowers in it because it is. Jeez, why did it like disappear when I made it too small? Okay. Mad at myself for that. Oh my goodness, this collider is struggle bus and a half. Okay, covered. But though I just realized it's not really gated in anywhere. Maybe we should trade these. You look at the top, it is nightmare fuel. So initially we gated this because it's like gold and maybe cursed. Don't want to mess with it. Okay, next columbarium. You surviving Thanksgiving? Just nothing but a week of leftovers now. Are you writing texts to your friends and family member like you just survived a war? Or you're like deep in the throes of a war? My dearest loved ones, it has been a fortnight since we last spoke. After begrudgingly eating 5 pounds of mashed potatoes and 2 pounds of turkey, I have adjourned to my bedroom. Where I will stay for another fortnight to recover. I have been quite busy, haven't I, Half Ogre? What jar is that? There's like a very specific jar in here, and I can't tell which one it is. Which one are you? Might be treasure, now that I think about it. We also can... Ooh, you know what? Let's have some fun with this, because we're pretty much back to where we were. So, I want to kind of put like something like this in here. Hey, what's up? Oh, ogre, that's awesome. That's very cool. That's a really nice gift. I'm sure she'll enjoy that. Half Ogre over on YouTube says, I bought my daughter a copy of DA for a stocking stuffer. Is anyone in the audience happen to be, does anyone in the audience happen to be like a new member of the community? Did you recently get yourself a copy of Dungeon Alchemist and you're kind of watching, wondering what's going on, maybe trying to learn a little bit? If you have any questions, concerns, feedback, needs for assistance, let us know. That's what we're here for right now. We've got a couple of moderators standing by. Myself as the community manager, my name is Mac. I'm here to assist you and answer your questions, provide guidance in real time to make sure, you know, if you have any problems or concerns that they're being addressed. I think we put that nice gold, what was it? It was like the, shoot, I can't even remember what it was called. I guess a tomb type thing, but I feel like it was like, yeah, this golden sarcophagus, that's the word. Shrink it down. Put it flush up against the wall. And then I put some like sensors in it. Yeah, like these look great. Down a bit. Pop one into this corner. This corner. Did I place a mummy inside? Let's do it. Okay. We're back up to the other version of this that I could do is rotate it like this, right? So it's like up against the wall. It's still quite big like this. And then the grave, you know, the interred can be observed. Okay, let's look out those. Actually, let's do a quick save before I lose my progress here. We'll do a double save, like in the days of old. Yes, exactly. Technically, if you look at this, that's almost 10 feet of... It's, okay, it's like 6 feet. No, I guess their body's a little bit shorter. Nope, you're right, it is a bit... It's like, it's dwarf, possibly. It could be, you know, a halfling, but likely like a dwarf or whatever. Could extend them out to the size of the sarcophagus. They're a little bit bigger now. It does feel like I was just on... I was on last night at, you know, like 10-ish o'clock my time zone till about midnight. And then burning the midnight oil, obviously. That was a little bonus stream to help celebrate the fact that we are on sale right now. Quick reminder. If you're not aware, Dungeon Alchemist is on sale. It's 20% off. And it'll be on sale through Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. That is part of the Steam Autumn Sale, which we're very honored to be participating in. Anyway, if you or anyone you know is interested in purchasing Dungeon Alchemist, Now is the time. Maybe you have that friend or that DM you love that you want to get a copy, or you told them they should get one. If anything, just spread the word. Let people know in your group, your Discords, your social circles, etc., so we can get more eyes on it. As we are an independent company, an indie developer, every little bit helps. Okay, I feel like we've gotten this back to roughly where it was. I did sleep, actually. So I slept before yesterday's stream, and then immediately after I laid down and went to bed after the stream. So I did a couple things to prepare for the stream, and then I went and laid down. So I got a good night's rest. Don't need to worry about me, brother. I'm good. Appreciate the concern, though. Guafa, it has been a bit. I'm good. I'm good. As they say, I've just been busy. I've been streaming a lot because of the sale. I've been doing like bonus streams and stuff to kind of help highlight that and make myself available to new community members, answer questions, concerns, provide guidance. You know my deal. Not to mention, I just got alpha access of our dev test, so I'm playing around with the upcoming build, getting familiar with it, trying to learn more about it, and understand it, so I can better explain it for the community and start making teasers for it as well, which is something I'm very excited to do. I've also kind of started remaking a bunch of like older videos as kind of simplistic tutorial videos. And at the same time, those older videos that are being remade are simultaneously sorry, losing my train of thought. They're going to be posted across all our social networks. So last year before, I posted various tips and stuff, and I post them as we like have updates come out. I kind of showcase new features. But despite all this, people, miss those videos because they weren't a part of our community like a year ago or whatever. And that makes sense. You don't understand and know everything about us at all times. You have a life, you have friends, you have family. So I understand that. So, by the way, we've been doing these kind of late night bonus streams. I kind of am now considering doing more late night streams. I might add one late night stream to the mix. Would he be kind of early morning for our European viewers, or kind of a late night, night owl type viewer as well? I was thinking of calling it Dams After Dark or something like that. It sounded funny in my head. I don't know, though. We'll see. Even with collisions off, these things are just so burdensome. Like, why do they need to stamp into the ground? This could just be an object on top of the ground. I should be able to move this freely without any concern. This should not be a snappable, in my opinion. It's way too obtrusive like this. Mac is going to need a mini Mac soon. I do have a mini Mac, actually. Not the computer, but like an actual, son. My son is actually, I'm quite proud of the young man he's becoming. He's now 18, so growing and becoming his own, person. so trying to think of what else we can put here. Probably another kind of thing like that. This grave looks good. Slide it in there under the willow tree. Nope, nope. We'll probably just put like one of these. I like the willow tree overhang. It's not like it's neglected per se. Like it just looks, you know, like it's been a long time. These graves have been here a while, and so is the tree. Oh no. Put another tree here. Happy tree. We'll put a little autumn tree. Because these graves need shade too sometimes. So you see how this is disappearing? What's happening here is this tree has a mega collider. It's an asset from the workshop. And because of that, it is overriding this. What I'm doing though is I'm going to lower it just a little bit, and then it doesn't worry about those colliders at all. It supersedes them. Isn't that neat? Once it's inside of it though, it's going to be very hard to grab it again. So I essentially have to move it to move this, which is a bit of a pain, but not the end of the world. Just putting a few urns up. Then, I guess we could put like a grave site here or something. Like a dug grave. Or we could put something a little bit fancier. Also could just put like a cairn. Something like this. Cairns are an interesting choice. And I could put something like this on top of the cairn too. So yeah, you know what? I'm gonna put a couple of those up. I like this. Just kind of decorating as I go, so I'm not really sure if this is accurate or anything. And honestly, in a fantasy setting, it's not like you need to adhere to normal, you know, standards for whatever, burial and whatnot. One moment. Okay. Okay. Corner looks interesting now. We need to add some life to it, like some plant life and stuff, but overall I think we got a good little start. I'm gonna save again. Save again. And now I'm gonna go to the workshop and take a look for assets. Oh, I get what you're saying, Lord Rev. I understand you. Yeah, I mean, you know, maybe we might get to at some point to the point where the community team might need to be expanded. Who knows? As it stands right now, I definitely got things under the handle, like it's under control, but would be cool. Hey, see you later, Rev. Have a good one. Thank you for being here, my friend. All those new flowers, did they get put into a collection by chance? Does not appear so. Okay. Well, let's look for life flowers. Let's see here. By the way, I'm in the Steam Workshop. Oh, now we have over 7,000 assets. Awesome. Yesterday we had under 7,000, so we now passed 7K. Congratulations, everyone, that helped us hit that amazing number. And the community is more enriched as a whole for it. So thank you so much. Let's see how going on. My goodness, where are they? Hey Rev, how you doing? How you enjoying blue sky, my friend? Are these it, Michelle? Was that a jar of mayo you saw? It's possible. The mayonnaise special. Collection of all sorts of things. Quite sick. I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. I'll take a look at them, see how they look when they're placed. Right now, they kind of just look like, no offense there. Is this like an AI generated one? It just looks a little, when it was decimated, it lost some detail there. It's too, I'm a little too picky. Might have to continue doing other ones. Oh, okay. Yeah, these are them. Hey Dyson, how are you? Glad to hear it. All right, let's just continue decorating this area with what we really need, which is graves. So, okay, let's start with this corner, kind of flattening it out if we can. Shrink down. Already sinking the terrain on the other side. Taper it up to this bush. And then we'll have to do it again on this side to bring it up a little bit. But overall, it's good enough. Wow. Fantastic. Okay. Oh, let's put some graves, shall we? Let's see if we can do something like this. These are a little bit fancier looking, right? And we could probably just put a few, like if we make the brush larger, but turn the density down. Scale average here, no scaling randomness. Let's do a test paint from like here to here. Oh no! The fallen graves are a little concerning. Hey Nephirin, how you doing? Okay, so are these it, Michelle? When I put them down, they just look a little too splotchy, my friend. I'm looking for a little bit more detail on a flower. That being said, these are heavily optimized in file size, so they are definitely good in that regard. They just seem like a little bit too much decimation happened there. Oh, shoot. I forgot to shout someone out that followed a little bit ago. If they're still here, a couple follows actually in the last half hour. DM5E Brian, thank you for the follow. And Great Dinny Gaming, thank you for the follow. Michelle, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to offend by any means here. I just I'm looking for something a little bit more crisp. We'll take a look in a minute. Let me finish out the grave configuration. No! Kind of looks okay. I don't really understand how they orientate. Like, it's really awkward sometimes. It doesn't really cooperate with how I'm looking at them. Tell you what, Michelle, we'll put a couple of down and see how they look before I... get to before I put a final say on them. Sound good? Let's try bouquet 3. Try a pot there that we can place that. Okay. We want to just make sure we're at the right angle for this to line up. When you tighten them up a little bit, they don't look too splotchy. I'll put a couple of them in. Turn it like that. Well, the fact that you're putting in the effort and practicing is really awesome. First off, Michelle, and I appreciate you putting in the time. And I'm sorry I didn't give them the time of day first. I will put a couple in, and we'll just kind of leave them in various places where we need some flower bouquets. Let's try 5 and put it right here. Oh, whoa, it jumped. What happened? Vessel. Yeah, they actually look a lot better than the display does in the workshop. The workshop doesn't do them much justice. Once they're placed, and if you shrink them a little bit, the mesh tightens up. Plus, at a glance, it looks perfectly fine. So, not bad. Canters, and then just some other flowers on the other side. But I do like that you can see the light peeking out through the door. Good. All right. Now that this is all caught up to where I was before, let's hurry and bust out some extra graves and some other stuff. So I can use the painting objects to get some graves, but I'm really not happy with how it's turning out. So thanks, Brian, for the reminder. Much appreciated. And thank you for the follow. Again, to DM5E Brian and to Great Denny Gaming for the follows. Sorry I missed them when you did them. So my apologies. What else should I say? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm not happy with these. I'd rather place the graves by hand, so I'm just gonna do that. I want to put some mausoleums and stuff too, so we kind of have a good mixture. But as this is a religious site, we definitely need some, like, just kind of religious looking graves. I do wish we had more than just crosses for our, like, grave stuff. Different deities, even deities we make up. Would be nice, because right now it's just like somewhat limited in that regard. Been trying out the demo over the last week. Okay, I gotta hear this from someone who is new to our community. How is the demo treating you? How do you like it? What are the pluses and minuses, pros and cons to it? Do you have any questions related to the demo? And do you need any assistance? Because that's what I'm here for. Because the demo is great, but at the end of the day, it is only a small slice of the overall kind of Dungeon Alchemist pie, so to speak. And I think I'll do another mausoleum that's like this one, but I'll put like one of these beers in it. Okay, no worries. No pressure. I just figured I'd ask, seeing as how you're new and, you know, you've been playing with it a little bit the last week. You might have some thoughts on it. But no worries, my friend. I appreciate you being here and learning and, being part of this community initiative. Tree or something there. Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. Oh, well, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. And no worries, it happens. We all got, a little distracted by how handsome I am sometimes, and really just gets super easy for people to forget to follow and like and share. It really is. So when in my older streaming community, we used to call our group The Shining as a joke, because I would joke about how my head was like essentially a very reflective, shiny surface that would blind people on occasion when the light reflects off of it just right. And I leaned into it. I know I'm bald. There's nothing I can do about it. So rather than get upset and embarrassed and mad about it, I own it, and I turned it into this whole thing. And to be honest with you, it worked out in my favor. For a long time, people were like very appreciative of the fact that I, wasn't embarrassed by it. A lot of people like to rip into bald people, but it's like, I can't control it no more. I can control it no more than I can control my height, Oh, nice, Brian. Well, you've been using it since May 2022. Wow. Pretty much since we launched in early access then, right? Wow, since the beta. Impressive. Well, thank you for your long-term support. Appreciate that. I do have to say, Deanie, is it Deanie or Denny? I do want to let you know that Dungeon Alchemist is on sale right now through Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific. It's part of the Steam Autumn sale. After that, it will be, back up to the normal price. If you're looking to grab Dungeon Alchemist on a deal, this might be the, best opportunity to do so. But the demo is a great way to try before you buy, make sure it operates well on your system. You get to try out the forest biome, build yourself a tavern, and play with a lot of the tavern-themed objects. That's for any that aren't aware. The demo is available on Steam, but just keep in mind that sale price is kind of a limited deal. Deanie, like Houdini? Got it. I kind of figured you were going with Deanie, like Houdini, because of the spelling was exactly like that. So, but thank you for clarifying. I appreciate that. Let's turn down that brightness, a little intense for candles. Next, maybe we could put some like coins and stuff down at the base. You know, stuff like this. Like this guy was maybe a saint. I'll be honest with you, Brian, we really don't have plans to accommodate to 3D exports of any kind. This is for several reasons, and we we get asked a lot for this, and it's not like we don't want to or don't, you know, like community feedback or want to accommodate to it. But at the end of the day, there's a few things to keep in mind. So people want 3D export for 3 reasons. One, 3D printing. They want to print their little builds or maps and, you know, paint them and use them for local play that's a little bit more immersive 3D pop-out play. I understand that. Unfortunately, though, there's a few things that on the back end that won't allow it, and we'll explain that in a minute. Secondly, people want to export their designs here for game design. So they'll build a map, a detailed, beautiful map, export it into their game engine of choice, and build a game around this map, you know, using their, you know, interactions and whatnot. We don't want to allow that for several reasons too. And then third, people want to export our maps to use in like a 3D virtual tabletop space, which at the moment is kind of in its infancy. There's not a whole lot of support for it. There's very few, you know, programs that do it. And overall, the market share is kind of small. With time, I can see this getting better, more support, just better online play. So basically, putting these 3 out there, there's all these different reasons people want it. So 3D print, you know, you want to print it, but at the end of the day, printing a whole big map like this would be a nightmare to 3D print. It would take hundreds of hours to print, and even more so to just remove supports and then paint it. It would be a lot of work that people probably don't consider, even for small maps. Next, for game engine design, we're not, you know, and this is nothing against game designers. We understand the struggle of indie development. But they also need to understand that all of our assets are proprietary. Our game and engine design is proprietary, and we don't really want to release all our 3D models to the public in that way, where they can just be used on a very, you know, simple, like used for a very nominal price when we put, you know, probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars into the development of Dungeon Alchemist. Third, exporting for virtual tabletop. So Dungeon Alchemist wasn't really designed with 3D export in mind. And I don't say this to be negative or condescending or anything like that. Basically, our assets are very, very basic at the end of the day. This looks really detailed and beautiful, but what it is really, it's just a simple underlying shape, like a rectangle at the bottom and like a triangle on the top. And that's all it is. Over the top of it is a very detailed, what's called a texture map. You could kind of relate it to like wallpaper in a room. You know how the wall is flat, but you could put a wallpaper or an image on the wall that makes it look heavily detailed, three-dimensional even, but when you go to touch it, it's not that, right? So that is actually very detailed texture mapping to make this look all super, you know, meshed out and tons of detail that you could probably feel with your fingertips. But at the end of the day, that's not there. So if you were to export a Dungeon Alchemist map in its current state, it would be just a bunch of really simple shapes and blobs. Rectangles, circles, cylinders, squares. No lighting, no color, no water, no animation. And, you know, so what I've been told from the development aspect is we did this because Dungeon Alchemist maps were designed to be very lightweight and small. The average DA map is like 5 megabytes or less, and it's because it's just a text file. Then you interact with the 3D model inside DA, and because our models are so trim and small, it allows the average computer to be able to build really detailed maps without much struggle. Essentially, Dungeon Alchemist is an all-internalized 3D render engine. You build and model the map in 3D in real time, and it renders that environment in real time. The save file is a text file that tells DA where all of these models and lights and interactions go, so it can replace them when it loads. Hey, see you later, Michelle. Talk to you later. So, basically, Dungeon Alchemist essentially wasn't designed with 3D export in mind, and it would have to be redesigned from the ground up, essentially gutting it and making tons of changes to almost every asset. Now, that's not to say it's impossible to do, but given the size of our team, the scope and scale of what would be required, and the resources we have available, it's just not very reasonable or probable that it'll happen. At the end of the day, we have a lot of promises to deliver on our Kickstarter still. 5 major updates remain from our Kickstarter promises, and we want to deliver on those before we start jumping into feature creep of like features that weren't planned on or would essentially cause tons and tons of major changes to Dungeon Alchemist. So before we do anything like that, it'll likely be, focusing on essentially bringing Dungeon Alchemist to a full release. If we do address something like 3D export, it would be at that time. I don't mean to burst anyone's bubbles or, come across as rude or anything. I hope that was an apt explanation as to, why we don't offer it, and if we do, when it would be. Thank you for the likes there, TikTok. Much appreciated. But we definitely like to be honest and straightforward with our community. Let them know. It was really never our intention to have Dungeon Alchemist be considered as a 3D exportable, map. Though we do feel creating maps in 3D gives you a lot more control over the overall design and, scope. You can get in at a lot of different angles, nooks and crannies, and make things look a lot more realistic and detailed, even in a top-down export. So at the end of the day, if you're wondering why we offer 3D building, it allows you to get in at these sharp angles, make sure things aren't overlapping or weird. It allows you to go through in first person and do a walkthrough test to feel the flow and sizing of the map to make sure it is good. Unfortunately, the demo does not access the assets or maps in the workshop. You can access it through Steam by going to our Steam listing and then our workshop tab. Oh, please don't crash. So when you go into first person, it allows you to kind of scope the map out in your character's size and get an idea of how navigable it is. I don't think you can walk through that. I think it's actually a blank collider. I'll probably have to jump it. But it really allows you to kind of scope out the space, see how navigable it is for maybe combat, or just, do you want people walking in single file? Do you want them to be able to fan out? How does the space look from this perspective is also useful in better immersing your players who may not have a great mind's eye. You can take screenshots or video from this perspective, share it with them, stream it to them if you want to, allowing them to better immerse themselves with your campaign and your maps and understand them the way you want. Sadly, the workshop integration, like if you go to click here, it'll just show a blank thing last I checked in the demo. But in the full version, you definitely get complete access to the workshop, 7,000 assets, and, over 10,000 maps. I think 10,200 maps. Multi-level building is quite possible by hand using either stock objects or objects on the workshop. As you can see here, here's a multi-level structure. Here, let me save my map and I'll show you a couple examples. But multi-level right now needs to be done by hand, meaning you have to place the objects, you know, on top of each other, stacking them sort of like blocks or Lego. In this build, I actually did a multi-level structure that I built entirely by hand. This tower here is the bell tower for this cathedral. And all I did to build on top of this wall is I grabbed a freestanding wall. These are available under objects, structural, freestanding wall. We have a copy of every single wall in this menu, but as an object. And then as an object, that means it can be placed, you know, anywhere. It can be rotated. It can be rescaled far above and below. Using that to my advantage, I just started placing them on this wall, snapping them in place, copying it by hitting shift or holding shift as I place it. So as you can see, I'm adding a second level right now. You could start vaulting up the walls, making them taller that way. Keep in mind, this is done entirely by hand, but I was snapping it by holding control and duplicating it by holding shift. So it speed things up. Now, our next update will include multi-level support building using the room generation. So this stuff I just showed you will be a thing of the past. But in order to do it now, you're going to want to disable collisions and then grab, you know, one of the objects from the structural menu to get your walls up higher. And then you can use the platforms or planks or different things inside of there to build floors in between them. Yeah, there is a massive cathedral. I think it was Norman Dye that made that one on the workshop that is multi-level. But, yeah, you really can't do windows from the room generation or doors. You would have to use windows or doors from the asset menu in the workshop. So there's like gates, doors, windows that'll work at those levels, but they don't mesh well. Our next update, however, Fun with Objects, which is launching, you know, Q1 2025, will include multi-level structures that you can generate using the room generation. It'll automatically fill the rooms with objects, generate walls, windows, etc. Or it'll follow the guidelines for the AI you give it. So you could tell it to not generate objects and put them in manually, or no windows and doors, etc. Emmy, honestly, you know, in a lot of experience with maps, I typically just kind of go with how my mind works. My mind is a little bit scatterbrained and I'm all over the place. So you'll notice while I'm building, I jump around a lot and don't really stay with the same thing because I get bored of what I'm doing and start doing something else. And that's how my working brain works. But I will say, when starting a big map like this, I built this map quite literally from the start. And by that, I mean the entryway of this map. So what I did is I just started where I thought the entryway of the map would be, in this case, the corner. You could do it from, you know, the side at a point like a T-junction coming out of the side here. But I just literally just started in the corner with a little roadway, some, you know, some buxus here, some plants, some gates. And when all was said and done, this is what I had. So this was my entryway, my beginning point. And I kind of branched off of that. And I think from there, I added these graves. And then I thought, well, I'm going to need more road and more hedges to kind of match and flex this, or flesh this out. Then I built the cathedral thinking, well, where are all these, how are these graves, you know, facilitated? There must be a place where funerals are held, right? Where last rites are held, you know, maybe even church in between, you know, when there's not deaths and, you know, funerals. They would need parking to facilitate that church and funerals. And then I thought there would be different statuses of graves. So, and this is also feedback from our community as I was going. They thought, well, there'd be mid-level graves, pauper graves, probably fancier gated off sections that are private, that only, you know, certain people can enter. You know, Jed, I wouldn't put off building your maps too long just so your campaign doesn't suffer for it. But, you know, at the end of the day, just remember, you can build multi-level right now if you want to. Here, let me show you one of my maps that I shared recently on the workshop that was a multi-level. In fact, before we just started this map, this was the previous Mapmaker Monday build. Multi-level will work in a lot of different ways. Are you asking in the next update, or are you asking like right now? Can you do multi-level in caves? Multi-level in caves definitely right now can be done because you can manipulate the terrain and have lower and higher points. And you can still use objects just like I'm showing right now. But in the next update, yes, multi-level can go below ground and above ground. In fact, I was playing with it the other day. I had like 8 or 9 levels above ground and like 6 or 7 below ground. And the below ground one had like offshoot tunnels and like hallways and little areas and rooms. And the above ground one was just like tower that went up and up and up. So Kenna, welcome back. We have a series of updates planned still. Those are our stretch goals from our Kickstarter. The next update is titled Fun with Objects. And then after that, in no particular order, we have 4 updates remaining. Tricks and Traps, Water Worlds, High Seas, and Instant Dungeons. 2 of those are actually water themed, if you noticed. Water Worlds and High Seas. So there will be... High Seas is centered around mainly islands, coasts, shipbuilding, possibly even astral or planar seas. There has been discussion from the creator of Dungeon Alchemist, our lead artist, about a new implementation being added in that update called the Shipyard. The Shipyard essentially would be a tool within Dungeon Alchemist that allows you to build custom ships and then save them and then share them on the workshop or just use them locally. And then you can use that ship and stamp it between different maps. So you can copy and paste and have multiple on the one map or take it between maps, etc. That will be part of the High Seas update, more than likely. Water Worlds will include water at different levels, currents, water effects, possibly even underwater biomes and building. Right now you can do like sunken cities. You can put a building underwater, but it's like not the same as having like an underwater place. Now back to the multi-level structure here. This is a 4-level tower I built entirely by hand on stream using stuff that's available on the Steam Workshop or stock in Dungeon Alchemist right now. That means anyone here can do this if they put their mind to it. This tower is completely navigable in first person, and it's a pull apart. What I did is I designed this in a way that it's kind of modular prefabs that can be pulled apart level by level. So you can see it in the top down, export it with the roof if you want, right? Have, level, like just the main, scene with just the roof, and that's the exterior. Then I could go to 5, let's see. Let me grab this tower top first. Shoot, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Grab the top, move it to the side. I can delete it, right? And I can then look down, top down, and now I have the 4th floor. I could go to File, Save As, Wizard's Respite, Floor 4, or L4, and export this as its own level. Going back into the build, this floor here, I built everything on the 4th floor. The walls, all the objects are on top of the floor panel. I did this for several reasons. 1, it allows me to move it as a singular piece. It allows me to scale it as a singular piece. And when collisions are disabled, remember I showed you that a bit ago, I can now raise and lower this as a singular piece. I made sure while I was building this that every floor was locked onto the same snap point. Dungeon Alchemist has snapping by default. When collisions are disabled, the snapping disables. But if you hold control, it comes back. So I snapped it. The base floor is a snapping point as well. So I made sure every floor above it just was snapped to that same snapping point. So they align beautifully. All I had to make sure was that their height was right. So that was on me. But everything in between, I can grab these floors, pull them aside, and each one of them essentially snaps onto the point above this one. They just had to be raised and put into place, like I'm a crane locking a modular building into place. So, keeping this in mind, several things went in tandem to make this work, okay? Disabling collisions, and then I would start using structural objects. I started with one of these stone round platforms as kind of the base. So I just snapped that one into place there. I grabbed these round walls. This was before we had round and diagonal walls in DA that I started building this, so I used everything I just had on hand. Made the walls, attached some lamps or lanterns or whatever. You know, I'm just going to quickly add these in. Oh, you're going to want collisions on when you do this so they snap. Right? Disable collisions again. I now have the floor. I could move it into place, make this the first floor, decorate it, and then do the same thing for floor 2, floor 3. I actually found those floor pieces, the wooden ones with holes in them, on the workshop. They were shared by a very talented creator named Swedish Cook. He has all these interesting wooden floor assets and tower building assets. I downloaded this collection and I just used like the banisters and floor pieces. He actually worked with me to make sure these functioned and were navigable, and that the holes can be, you know, navigated with a token so the colliders don't interfere, the stairs work, etc. So kind of getting back to that. If you place a token inside of this bad boy, I like to use the feline wizard. You can go in first person. Emmy, my graveyard is 82 by 82 so far. Might get larger, who knows, at the end of the day. So here is my token now. 4th floor, we have the observatory, which the roof, the lovely Mrs. Mac made this for me. We coordinated. I kind of drew a sketch and showed her what I wanted. Like, I want a weather vane on it with a wire going down in. I want a little hole, and kind of want these cool, like, patchwork looking shingles. She made it custom for me using Procreate or Nomad Sculpt and Procreate to paint it. And then I imported that using the asset importer, and I shared it on the Steam Workshop, so anyone can use it. So there's the ceiling from the inside. You can see a wire running down from the weather vane, which I took advantage of that. Made it look like there's like a, you know, something running down, a current's jumping off of it if you flip the switch. At which point these arcane batteries jump in and allow you to move this massive telescope. Now, there's, you know, different drawings and stuff on the chalkboard here. You can insert custom art into the chalkboard, so I just had some fun with that. Here, again, there's a star chart inside of this here. This is actually, I believe, like an astral viewer is what it's called, so I put a star chart in there for fun with that. Little books and different things, globes and whatnot. They're little treasures from beyond the stars. Moving in. 3rd floor is the bathroom, bedroom area. Little sink. Nice bed, my puppy Seymour there. Some magical items and gear and my wardrobe and whatnot. Some treasure. Go down here. I used a different setup in each one. So this is actually a stock DA stair, but this floor piece is from that pack on the workshop, and this one has a little hatch. Love that for going into the observatory. Makes sense. Here you have the spiral stair going from the study into the personal bedroom. And there's like a library and a place for like apothecary or like, you know, different alchemy projects. And these, my wife told me, she drew these up for me. They're little recipes for like cookies and rolls and stuff. Little alchemy recipes for them. Anyway, further down, we have the hearth kitchen area entry. At the time, you couldn't put doors on round walls, the stock, like, object walls. Hey, Cartographer, welcome. Good to see you, my friend. Sorry I wasn't able to catch your stream earlier. My morning kind of got off to a rough start. Hope you've been well. But I just put kind of like an immersion little gate here, and on the outside I actually put like a 1x2 building with a door, so it looks like there's a door on the outside. And inside here, if you look carefully, there's a little hatch. So looking at the outside door, I built a little tiny 1x2 building with a door, And this door actually had an outward cover if you rotate it this way. So I just kind of put it inward so it looks like it's covered with another one of these. And you can open it and see inside, but it's like it's immersive. Clearly immersive. Performative. Anyway, that hatch leads to a secret escape tunnel. Secret tunnel. So this map, I made this for fun. It's a secret kind of wizard's respite escape. It's a wizard's tower deep in this forest. So the wizard kind of found this location while on their broom of flying deep in this forest and decided, I want to make a little private kind of respite, my getaway, so I can come here to study and just kind of hide in between missions and whatnot and have their own little home away from home. But yeah, this could be teleporting you inside. I also think at some point they just kind of teleport here instead of fly here after a while, after they got, more advanced as a wizard. But it's got a beautiful little garden with special herbs and also food, and then an apiary, obviously a loo. And then here we have a shed with like a forge and a well for water. This area, they had cleared it all out and then flattened it and used the stone from this massive rock in the area as the quarry for building the tower. And then they quarried it themselves and built up the tower. That's kind of my headcanon for it. But as you can see, they could invite guests if they wanted to, but it also is designed to be their kind of private getaway. There's no bed for guests, so they're really just there to kind of hang out, maybe have a meal or plan an adventure and then leave. Anyway. So multi-level, I built this entirely by hand. If silly me can do it, I'm sure anyone can do it. And this map, available on the workshop, so y'all can download it and reverse engineer it or use it for yourself. Now let's get back to the other map. How is your map coming along, cartographer, if you don't mind sharing? Or are you still here, or did you take off already? Can I just say thank you so much, TikTok, for all the likes? We're almost 2K likes right now. Seriously, very much appreciated. As TikTok is very much an algorithmic-driven, platform, meaning all the little likes and shares and stuff go a long way into getting us noticed on people's FYPs when they're looking at streams. Otherwise, typically it's everyone with the most views gets seen, right? So, likes are free, shares are free. I really appreciate those and the effort y'all put into getting us noticed on this platform. So thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. It took about a month and a half, 2 months of streams, and it was about an hour of work per stream, maybe an hour and a half tops, because we typically get interrupted and then go visit other, maps and look at concepts, answer questions, and that's not an interruption, more it's actually part of the event. These streams are AMA format, which means I'm here to answer questions and provide guidance, right? Eric, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. Very excited for our upcoming session. Very, very excited. Those of you that don't know, Eric is a professional GM, and he hosts some streams here on Twitch, and just an all-around good guy. But some friends and my family are putting together a little session with him soon. Very excited for that to take place. It's been far too long since I've had some D&D. But yeah, mad props to Eric and all he does. Honestly, at the moment, there really isn't much lore. I kind of develop the headcanon lore as I go, but really, I think this cemetery's been here for a while, like probably going on centuries. And it has kind of different areas and aspects of places where it's like older, and some are more fancy, and some are less fancy. So, like, these are kind of middle of the road graves. And then this here is like a mausoleum dedicated probably to like a royal family, or maybe knights of the kingdom or whatever. Over here, the area I'm working on now is actually like martyrs and priests and nuns, people who serve the clergy over here. This chapel over the years. Things I'm doing to kind of help make it feel older and dated. Look at it, the garden, for instance, is really extensive, and lots of planning went into it. And you got the paving, and then you also have the ivy growing up the building, which further accentuates the age of this like chapel. Large old growth trees, stuff like that throughout the area that have been tended to and maintained. It is an 82 by 82 map with still quite a bit of work to go. So, I mean, Scarlet, the demo is only a small slice of the pie, but it's a great way to test drive Dungeon Alchemist on your system before you buy. The demo comes in, it clocks in at like 6.7 gigs, very modest download size. And it gives you access to our forest biome. Not only that, but you can build a tavern in our forest biome. So you get limited access to one room type and the objects that kind of match that room in the forest setting. So it's only one of our like 12 or 13 biomes, one of our, like 70, 80 room types that you can generate and automatically fill. But the cool thing about it is you can export that map for print or for your virtual tabletop of choice. So you can make several taverns if you want and export them as scenes for your VTT, and they're ready to go. Great way to just see how Dungeon Alchemist will perform on your system without investing too much time or money into it, which I think is, really great idea. Definitely try it out before you decide to invest. Also, Scarlet, if you haven't heard already, I say it like every 5 minutes and been posting it constantly on our socials, so sorry for the barrage of information related to our sale. But Dungeon Alchemist is on sale through Wednesday. So if you're looking to, grab a good deal on it, it's 20% off. That's the best price it is going to be. Yes. Can we get a Steam link, please, in Twitch chat? And there's a bunch of people watching right now who use Dungeon Alchemist. A lot of people watching are, our community members who like to tune in and support the streams, help guide other new members, and also ask questions themselves and learn. Because Dungeon Alchemist, despite how simple it is to use and jump into, there's a lot you can learn from someone who has used it a lot, and has played with it a lot. And that's what these streams are for me to help our community learn and grow. Jed, you should give DA a try again. If you haven't in a while, definitely a lot's changed. There's been a lot of improvements. I love the people over at Fantasy Grounds, first off. Bella is good people, and she and I are, have really made a great networking partnership between our two communities. I was really glad that I met her and was able to link up with her when I did. But the Fantasy Grounds people have always been really supportive of us as a small indie developer, and their community outreach, as well as just the fact that they love Dungeon Alchemist and what it does with their tools, and have even I feel like Dungeon Alchemist's animated maps kind of help drive them to do animated support. Their community had been asking them for better part of a year or more for animated maps, and they kind of finally caved and added it. So I'm glad they did, and that we've been able to kind of further build our partnership through that. But Dungeon Alchemist works very well with Fantasy Grounds and Roll20, Foundry, above VTT. We have direct compatibility with those four, plus numerous other virtual tabletops, as long as they import JPEGs or MP4 or WebM or support the UVTT format. Our maps are compatible with those VTTs. So that's a lot of different companies. We work with Owlbear, we work with DM Hub, we work with Harpy, we work with Encounter Plus. Our maps, depending on your platform, it will import line of sight. Yes. So what is your virtual tabletop of choice, Scarlett? Fantasy Grounds, is that what it is? If it's Fantasy Grounds, then yes. Our maps include, depending on how you export. Here, let me show you. So if you export for Fantasy Grounds, let's click the export menu. We'll go to the FGU menu. You have images as a JPEG or video as a WebM VP8, which is the only animated format they currently support over at Fantasy Grounds. There is a bug in our export right now, and we're researching that. There'll likely be a fix in our next update, so if not a hot fix sooner. But for right now, that is something that it does support. These maps can be exported as a flattened, like, top-down perspective or a 3D perspective that kind of gives it more of a pop. You can pick your DPI, but when it comes to Fantasy Grounds, I highly recommend 72 to 150 DPI, depending on the map size. 72 DPI means it'll load fast, the map size will be smaller, and your players will more likely be able to load it effectively without issues. But these exports include lighting, line of sight, walls, windows, doors, etc. All of that data is included. So you get the map as a JPEG or a WebM, and then an accompanying XML file for Fantasy Grounds that includes all the data. And if you click here, there's guidelines that are on our website that you can walk through step by step for importing a brand new Dungeon Alchemist map into Fantasy Grounds with all of the data. But as you can see here in this last frame, it actually shows the wall, window, door data, all that stuff. So we also offer that kind of export for Foundry and Roll20 and above VTT. Definitely try it now, because the sale runs out on Wednesday at 10 a.m. and I would hate for you to miss out on that deal. You know what I mean? By the way, Scarlett, I'm pretty sure you followed us over on Blue Sky. That's where you found us initially, right? Thank you for following us there and for coming over to the stream and checking us out. That's good to know about that, Eric. Honestly, we don't offer native animated support for Roll20 because their file limits are so small. We've actually reached out to them and talked to them about this, and they've confirmed that they'll look into it and maybe make it better in the future, but who knows when that'll be. I think right now it's like they recommend 20 megabytes or less as a stock import or something. Yeah, no problem. We are trying to, get known a little bit on Blue Sky. We've been on there like a half a year, but it's only just starting to get popping now because people are really interested in it as of late. And we're kind of learning the platform as we go and just getting a feel for it, But the last few weeks over there, our growth has been phenomenal and not to be understated, for sure. How was your first follow? Well, awesome. You know what? I will make sure I, like and share that later. So like Blue Sky doesn't have an official name for posts. So like on Twitter, it was called a tweet, right? And people have said that they should call the posts on Blue Sky skeets. And I just think that's weird. First off, that term is either associated with shooting and or like weird kind of like stuff that I shouldn't get into. And honestly, either term is kind of just something that I don't want to be associated with. So I think they should be called blurts. I'm just throwing that out there. Blurts. That's pretty much what all social network posts are anyway. They're blurts. And it uses BLU, so it obtains that branding from Blue Sky. So I'm going to just call posts on there blurts from now on. Emmy, that's a good question. So Emmy on TikTok asks, will all the terrains have the same paint options? Remember, let's keep the stream family friendly, okay? Dungeon Alchemist, each biome has a set of terrain paints, right? Bloops, interesting. So each biome has distinct paints that kind of match that biome. So if you go into a different biome, you have access to different paints. A lot of people ask us, well, why don't just put every paint available in each biome so people can kind of paint whatever they want? And that makes a whole lot of heckin' sense. It really does. On paper, it does. Unfortunately, so Dungeon Alchemist is an indie project, and a lot of what we developed is done from scratch. Some of it we use Unity like modules, the equivalent of like a plugin or a module in Unity to supplement our development shortcomings or to help speed things up, so we would, until we come up with an in-house solution that's much better. So from my understanding, how it was explained to me by Wim, the creator of Dungeon Alchemist, lead developer and artist, basically he said that as you start adding more and more paints to a biome, it decreases performance, and the paints start running sluggishly as you paint them, and they become less effective. So the more paints in a biome, the more sluggish the paint feature is, and the more the poorly DA runs as a whole. So they wanted to avoid that because, there's people in our community with computers that aren't necessarily, top of the line gamer or streamer machines. They may be a 10-year-old computer or an average laptop. And so we want to try and make Dungeon Alchemist as useful across as many users in our user base as possible. The average user being that kind of middle of the road, thing. So we try to make all Dungeon Alchemist run around that. When you're in different biomes, you have different paints. So just keep that in mind. If you want access to different paints, simply make a map in a different biome. You can do that by shifting to a different biome by creating a new map, or from within the map, you can shift the biome by going to the terrain tab and say just shifting it here if you wanted to. So I could make this jungle and have access to different paints. Some biomes have a couple more paints than others, and you can use that to your advantage. For instance, the grasslands biome has a sand paint in it, while the jungle biome does not. But you can put jungle trees in the grasslands biome, but you just can't use any of the jungle terrain paints in the grasslands biome. So what I'll do is I use grasslands to make deserted islands, and I'll cover the entire edge with sand, put some greenery in the inner area, and then put a ton of jungle plants and trees in the center, and maybe a little oasis somewhere. And then boom, I've got myself an island. Works rather good. But unfortunately, that is a bit of a drawback. For right now, we know of this limitation. We hate it, and we want to change it. Wim said at some point we'll likely sit down and recreate this entire tool from scratch, giving us much more versatility and probably the ability to have every paint on, every biome's paint in every biome available at all times, and also possibly even allowing the import of custom paint or terrains. Who knows? It remains to be seen. You know what I mean? But for right now, I think as it stands, there are a great assortment of options, and it will only get better with time. So please bear with us. As we, are in early access and constantly improving and making Dungeon Alchemist easier to use and, faster to use and more straightforward, smarter, all across the board. I really like this here. This is a nice little addition, just putting some like mausoleum type graves with a little fence divider. It would be nice. You know what? So Dyson, in our next update, Wynn's been kind of sharing images of this the last few days. There is a new tool coming out that's called the stamp tool. It'll be added to the left menu. It's down here somewhere. And unfortunately, I'm not allowed to show it, but I'll tell you about it, okay? And the stamp tool will allow you to stamp images on your map really quickly. And these stamps can be all sorts of things. I think we'll have a bunch of pre-configured ones, things like scratches and, like maybe gouge marks or explosions or burns. And I feel like this could also be used for stone paths, trails, stuff like that. Leaves, detritus. So as it stands, it leaves the door open for a lot of potential, but it just remains to be seen what that potential is. Will we be able to make custom stamps? I don't know. I really do think that's kind of the intention at the end of the day, is to allow that, but it remains to be seen. Thinking something like that melds a little better. Put like another small grave here. Save really quick. Fortunately, I just noticed the time. We are now past the hour. So we now have been live for 2 hours. Fortunately, I didn't get much done building. I was able to do out this fence here, replace everything I did, add a little bit more, and we kind of have an idea of what we're going to be doing here. I also kind of got distracted and started putting fence over here too. Not sure why I did that, but at the end of the day, I do want to fence off this area, kind of distinguish it. I plan to make, like, this back area over here in this corner to be the caretaker's, like, cottage and property. There's going to be, like, a garden and, like, a big kind of shed or a few sheds full of tools and stuff like that, wagons. Going to be great. We also need to do some road like this here going this way. I don't think I'm going to do the road to the end. I don't know. I'll decide. But it might make it easier to distinguish, like, oh, this is all pauper graves. This is all fancier graves. So we'll see. So there's still quite a bit on the menu. Yes, you can, Half Ogre, make custom stamps, but the new ones, they're much more versatile and they're not a flat plane. They automatically stamp to different surfaces. So imagine you stamped like blood across this, it would be around the corner of it, onto the ground, and over this. So it's much more versatile in that the stamp can be like on things, multiple things simultaneously, instead of just like the one place, or spread across it. You know what I mean? All right, everyone, I'm going to save, and I just want to say thank you for everyone that hung out today and participated in the stream. Whether you were, just chilling out in chat or actively participating in chat, or were you lurking? Were you asking questions? Were you spamming that like button the whole stream so we got a lot of people checking us out on various platforms? Thank you so much to each and every one of you for supporting these community initiatives. Mapmaker Monday is such an amazing stream, and I just wish everyone knew about it because it's such a great way to start your week off. Hanging out with fellow like-minded, map makers, talking about cartography and Dungeon Alchemist in general, learning how to make cool maps for our campaigns and to better immerse our players at the end of the day. I had a lot of fun hanging out with you all, and I appreciate you all being here. Our next stream is Office Hours. That's on Wednesday in our Discord. That is a Discord exclusive stream. We do that because Discord can't be included in the multi-streams we do on the other stream days. So unfortunately, It is only in Discord, which means if you want to participate in that stream and hang out, make sure you are a member of our Discord. We're dropping links throughout our various platforms now, but unfortunately, we cannot share a link on TikTok. TikTok will not allow links in chat. Even on my own channel, I can't share my own links. So, TikTok, if you want to find our Discord, please go to our profile. We have a link to our website, dungeonalchemist.com. On the bottom of our website, we have links to various social platforms, including Discord. But I would love if you came and joined us there. Our Discord is over 34,000 strong, I believe. Tons and tons of people hang out there. We provide live support pretty much 24 hours a day in either our question and support threads. There's places for GMs to hang out and chat and share ideas for their campaigns, encounters, homebrew, stat blocks, maps, etc. We have areas where you can share assets or share maps. We have ongoing contests such as the Dam Challenge, which is another stream, but it's also partially hosted in our Discord. The Dam Challenge is a map making contest we host every other Saturday. So, you know, just something to consider. In fact, I did not have the marquee for that the whole stream, my bad. The Dam Challenge that is coming up is window shopping. The next theme is window shopping. So if you want to participate in this ongoing bi-weekly map making contest, use window shopping as a theme, make a map of any shape or size, submit it to our Discord channel using the rules pinned at the top. I will be announcing the winner of the last Dam Challenge and the new theme today after the stream. So, you know, you can look forward to that and you will know exactly when they need to be turned in by. But I believe you have till Friday the 13th of this month to end of day to share your submissions. If you win a $10 Hero Forge gift card. Your map is the first map featured in the Dam Challenge. And when I release the Cartomancer Chronicles, your map is also featured there. So congrats to Emmy for winning the most recent Dam Challenge, which was 9x6. You had to make a map that was 9x6 or smaller. Absolute beautiful map. And I just was really thrilled by the amount of entries we got. There were 16 entries to the last Dam Challenge. So thank you to everyone that participated. Had a lot of fun. So Wednesday is office hours. Our next stream, Dam stream, is Saturday. We're going to be showcasing maps, hanging out, showcasing assets, providing live support. The Dam stream is more just a showcase of community maps and assets instead of a focus on building, but we do provide live support and answer questions, so if you need to see how something's made, I will drop everything and answer questions. Same thing with office hours. Anyway, moving on. Sorry for that ramble nonsense of word salad. We're going to do one and a half more shameless promotions, and we're going to wrap up the stream. Really quickly, I just want to mention Dungeon Alchemist is on sale for the Steam Autumn Sale. This is a big honor for us. We were happy to participate. Dungeon Alchemist is currently 20% off. It's great time to grab it because that is the best price it will ever be, at least for the foreseeable future. I've never seen it lower than 20%. So if you're looking for a deal on Dungeon Alchemist, take advantage of it now. Alternatively, if you want to try it out, we offer a free demo. So you can get on Steam, download the demo. It's less than 7 gigs to install the whole demo. You can try Dungeon Alchemist before you buy, see how it runs on your system. Remember, the demo is only like a small slice of the overall pie, but it is a great way to see how it runs and get a feel for it before you invest too much time or money into it. Remember, Dungeon Alchemist is also a lifetime license, so a single purchase lasts, forever. You own it forever, including all major foreseeable updates for the foreseeable future, quality of life improvements, etc. So just keep that in mind if you're looking at it kind of sitting on the fence. And remember, if you have questions after the stream, you can always ping us on any of our social platforms to ask, or drop into our Discord to ask questions in either the question or support forum. Even if you don't own a copy of Dungeon Alchemist, we're glad to assist you. Thank you everyone for being here, for hanging out, for participating, for actively grinding and doing your session prep and whatnot while you're being here. I appreciate you all very much. Mapmaker Monday holds a special place in my heart. It's definitely one of my favorite streams. Thank you so much for being here. Again, my name is Mac, the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. We'll see you next time I give a damn. Back out. I'm going to run a quick Dungeon Alchemist themed ad. They're quite silly, so don't take off if you haven't seen them before. They're very fun. And we'll see you all later. And before I leave, make sure if you haven't already, like, share, subscribe, follow, whatever. If you enjoyed the stream, make sure you amplify it and follow it so you can find it later. All right, here's the ad. See you later. That music.
You stand before the long, dark road to the fabled realm of Goyak-Ta, and before
What do we see?
I don't know, a goblin.
I kill him.
But before she does, I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to know the goblin's name.
Hi, my name is Woblin.
Where do you live there, Woblin?
I don't think that's relevant.
Well, but I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to seek the goblin's abode.
Clever. Find family. Kill entire bloodline. I like it.
Seriously, we're doing this? Okay, well, won't be needing that anymore, will I?
Ever get caught by your players with your pants down? Dungeon Alchemist lets you create wonderful maps for any encounter in seconds.
Oh, Woblin, that's a very impressive cheese collection you've got there.
Yeah, it is quite impressive, yes. But you know what's more impressive? This map I have to the fabled
Realm of Goyak-Ta, please take it and leave. Close the door behind you.
Mr. Woblin, I cannot help but notice that you have a secret tunnel underneath your cabinet. Care to explain?
Download Dungeon Alchemist, the AI-powered mapmaker, on Steam today.
All right, thank you everyone for watching that silly ad that I wrote myself, very proud of. And we got to coordinate with the amazing One for All team, or Deerstalker Pictures. You may recognize them. They make all sorts of silly D&D themed skits and video game skits. So if you recognize them, that's why. Anyway, thank you for being here. Had a lot of fun. And we'll see you next time I give a damn. Back out. Bye.